Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of January 6, 2019. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an amazing week it is, and it truly is an incredible week. A week where there will be very strong emotions and a sense of consequence, a sense of change, and a heightened invitation towards compassion, towards others, and to ourselves. And in the middle of the very powerful feelings, changes, evolutions that we will be feeling, chances are we will also feel touched by magic in the process. And this is also one of those weeks where I know that we have begun a new year, but it is now that it is going to truly feel as if we have stepped into a new space. And a lot of this comes down to the eclipse. As we start this week, we are going to have a solar eclipse taking place in the sign of Capricorn. Now, this eclipse is happening close in the sky with Saturn on one side and Pluto on the other. And this larger configuration is going to be reaching out and speaking in harmony with Neptune. So it is that Neptune that adds a level of compassion and inspiration, and a real sense that the universe is on our side and wanting us to move in a positive direction. It is a harmonious connection, the type of connection that astrologers call a sextile, which is about choice. That's what makes it different from another type of harmonious connection that is called a trine. If you are a student of astrology, you may have come across this idea. With trines, it can feel as if the good things are there, or we feel very connected to the best of the energies available, and so we're just kind of going with the flow. But when it is a sextile, it's like we have this sense that things can go in a positive direction if we put in a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, or a little bit of attention. And in this way, sextiles can actually be more fortunate than trines, even though from an astrological perspective, trines are considered to be more harmonious than sextiles. It is often said that sextiles actually work more in our favor because we feel a measure of control, and because we have that sense that if we take action on our own behalf, we can improve our circumstances, and we certainly can. It is Saturn and Pluto in the sky that are adding this energy of intensity, of transformation, of catharsis, really. And this is a sense of a moment that helps us to see things very differently than we did before, and yet choosing to be kind to others and to ourselves, choosing to be loving to others and to ourselves. Pluto as an energy on its own can denote a few different things. Yes, it's often associated with things like transformation, a sense of change. And Pluto can be very helpful, an energy that we can tap into when we are looking for a sense of power behind our actions that we hope will change our circumstances for the better. However, Pluto can also be a symbol of things that are not always fair, and things that can even feel hurtful or even cruel. And then you add Saturn, and Saturn is very much about honoring the incarnation. It's about understanding that we are on Earth and we are here for a reason, and it's wonderful to have the inspiration and the connection to spirit of Neptune or even of Jupiter. But it is ultimately Saturn that helps ground that inspiration so that it actually improves our lives in tangible ways, in ways that can be measured. And it is also Saturn that makes us aware of time and the limitations of time. And it can be considered a serious energy, but the thing is with Saturn is it gets things done. That is the great blessing of Saturn. It helps us to ensure that we have an eye towards the long term, towards the big picture, and our responsibilities. And what are our true responsibilities? Well, one of the highest responsibility we actually have is to our own happiness, to do what we can to own our happiness and to move ourselves in that direction. And in this way, it isn't a happiness that we just feel or that we tell ourselves, or, we sort of choose not to look in certain directions and therefore we convince ourselves that we're happy, but it is a lived, embodied happiness that Saturn promises. So you put these energies together along with a solar eclipse, a new moon eclipse, and it's like very quickly we can see that thing that might have been there all along, but now we see it differently, and it allows us a powerful new beginning. For some of us, this is going to be this sense of what it was that hurt us in the past, what wasn't fair, maybe some power struggle, power games, and maybe even for some of us, and I'm sorry to say, but this can bring with it an awareness of cruelty as well. And then there's Saturn saying, okay, allow yourself an honest assessment and allow yourself to be more fully grounded today and to own your power today. And it is Neptune ultimately that is saying, believe, have faith in yourself and in your future, and believe that your actions are going to count for something to improve your future. Now, this energy isn't entirely personal. It can be collective. It can bring with it an interest in each other. And it can bring with it actions that are taken in support of improving the circumstances of others, coming from a place of compassion within us. And there's also something to be said here for looking at structures and what structures are in place and how it is that those structures empower us and where it is that they don't, and where it is that certain structures are actually being carried out in a way that can be considered unfair, and where is it instead that we can tap into greater compassion. So at least on the collective level, on the world stage, we should see some of this discussion play out as well. But of course, what's happening in the collective has a way of speaking to our own individual journeys. And so where is it that we have set up certain expectations or created structures in our own life that we can now bring a greater sense of awareness and compassion to places that are possibly rigid or possibly have not always been very fair to us in the past. So this energy of this solar eclipse, there's going to be intensity, okay? And for some, it's going to be more challenging than it might be for others. If you are a cardinal sign, meaning you are a Capricorn, a Cancer, a Libra, or an Aries, you are going to feel this energy that much more strongly. You are going to feel this as a call towards creating change in your life that much more, and you're going to find the motivation to create the change that much more. It is earth signs that are going to find this to be a little bit more of an easy energy, especially if you're a Taurus or a Virgo, and yes, a Capricorn. But the thing is, when we have energy like this in your own sign, it tends to denote a rebirth of sorts, as I spoke of in the monthly horoscopes, and of course in the horoscopes on my website in the Superstar space at nadiyashah.com. The monthly horoscopes are here on YouTube. Now, if you are a water sign, you're going to experience this energy more where it comes to your relationships with other people. So that's the Cancers, the Pisces, the Scorpios. And for those of you who are air signs, you are going to find that this energy speaks to much more spiritual levels, internal levels, and a deeper understanding that can play out for you. And fire signs, well, a lot of this is going to play out where it comes to your work and your career and your money. And the fire signs are Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. And the air signs that I just spoke about are the Geminis, Libras, and Aquarians. Now, this isn't the only thing happening in the sky. Even though this eclipse is a powerful one, it is important, and it is going to be the dominant energy for a whole lot of us, especially as we're starting this week. This is Capricorn energy, which sometimes can take a moment to really set in, to really be appreciated how the changes are unfolding. Now, under the same sky, we are going to have another conversation taking place, and that is between Mercury, moving through the same part of the sky that the eclipse is in, and Mars, moving through the sign of Aries. These two planets will be speaking in a conversation of tension and motivation. And chances are it is going to be our communications with other people, our conversations with other people that are part of what helps us to tap into our power, our determination, and a greater awareness of focus and an understanding of where it is that we truly are wanting meaningful change to occur. Now, as part of this, we might want to be a little bit mindful because we can find other people or ourselves particularly sensitive to what is being shared, to various communications, to what is being expressed. We can find ourselves or others having very powerful reactions. Now, the key, of course, is to have that split second where you realize, is my reaction about this moment or is it about something else? Because sometimes what happens is that we will have a moment and it isn't so much about what's happening here, but it has more to do with what happened to us in the past, the things that weren't said, the feelings that we pushed down. And now in this moment, it is coming up that much more strongly. And so I'll give you an example. You may feel that you are in a moment and someone is speaking to you disrespectfully. Now, if you are in a certain frame of mind, you might find this amusing. If you are in another frame of mind, you might have compassion for this person. Another frame of mind might realize, oh no, that's not what's happening here. This is about something else. And another frame of mind, though, might take it very personally and might not appreciate it at all. Now, I'm not saying that anything is different with how this person is communicating. A lot of it is about our perception. And so, which is it, right? What is really happening here? And if it is that, for example, you feel like this person is speaking to you disrespectfully, is it about this moment? Is that the case? Or is it that it is rooted in some other time way long ago where you felt that you were disrespected or spoken to disrespectfully, but you couldn't say anything at the time. You couldn't speak for yourself at that time. And so now you're having this very strong reaction. I'm not saying that any answer is right. I'm not saying that other people necessarily are dealing with each other with kindness in each and every moment and have that kindness on the surface in each and every moment. We're all here, we're all learning. Even when you see somebody and it's really hard to recognize how that person is moving towards greater love and greater wisdom, in their own way, they truly are doing the best that they can with this particular moment in their life. And so I'm not saying don't have a reaction. I'm not saying that if it is a moment where you are called on to speak up or to speak for yourself, I'm not saying that that isn't the right action to take. That may very well be right in your individual circumstance. What I am saying is a little bit of awareness can go a long way towards ensuring that you behave in a way that allows you to feel good about yourself, that allows you to feel like you truly can live with yourself. Because ultimately, and I remember one of my spiritual mentors many years ago, she taught me that you can't be at peace with yourself if you are not kind to other people. Now again, that doesn't mean you don't speak up for yourself when the situation calls for it. I'm not saying that at all. However, there are ways in which to interact with others that allow you to feel connected to a feeling of peace within you. And that exploration may very well be part of the invitation of this celestial conversation this week. Now, I would also add on a collective level, because Mercury has to do with what we're talking about as a collective, possibly in the media as well, there can be some very strong stories coming out at this time that are evoking very strong reactions within people. And again, you decide what reaction it is that is right for you, or you decide to reflect a little bit about why you're having the reaction you have, or you decide that you don't need to do that. You're having a reaction and you're going to trust it and you're going to go with it. I'm not saying either reaction is wrong. I'm saying that I hope that you choose a reaction that ultimately allows you to feel at peace with yourself. Now, as we get towards the very end of the week, the sun will will meet Pluto in the sky for their annual meeting. So I see this playing out in a few ways. So one is, I feel like this is allowing us to carry forward the energy of the eclipse. So it isn't just events that take place or feelings that come up that is isolated to a particular moment or a particular time, but rather it has a more holistic or sweeping impact on our lives. We're able to make further sense of the events around the eclipse and ensure that the changes that come up, that sense of a catalyst or a moment that helps us to see things very differently, to launch in new directions, to ensure that those changes actually last, have a chance to take hold and have solid roots. This energy is also a very powerful one for closures and for change, and not just change in terms of what it is that's going to be different, but where it is that we are allowing healthy closures to take place, what it is that we don't want to carry into our future anymore, and where it is that we're ready to be more profoundly honest with ourselves as part of moving ourselves into the future, as part of our own personal alchemical process. So if you think about alchemy, alchemy is the spiritual practice. It's also been a literal practice as well in the ancient world especially, but it is the practice and the contemplation of turning lead into gold. And so, as I said, some undertook this very literally. Others undertook this more from a metaphorical or spiritual place. What most practitioners in ancient times of alchemy did was it was more integrated. It was a much more an understanding that yes, there is this literal process. We are going to tinker away in a chemistry lab, but at the same time, we're going to contemplate the deeper spiritual significance to what is playing out in our lives. So it was like part and parcel. You couldn't have the physical without the spiritual, especially to what's called the medieval mind or the symbolic mind. That's the term for it. But to people at that time, you couldn't have this separation between mind and matter, a separation between the physical and the spiritual. There was an intricate interconnection that we were constantly aware of, that we were constantly perceiving. And so even the practice of alchemy carried with it an appreciation of the larger metaphor and the larger symbolism that was playing out at the time. And I see the sun meeting Pluto in the sky as a powerful alchemical moment for us all in our own individual journeys in particular. In at least one area of life, we are going to realize what has felt like a burden, what has been led in our life, and we are going to choose to transform it. Whether it's with our awareness, with our clarity, with our action, with our will, we are going to transform what has felt challenging into something much more valuable, much more precious to us. This is that sense of an instant change, but it's something that's been building for a while. That's the thing with Pluto, is that it may seem to others like, wow, so much has changed so quickly, but actually it's been percolating for quite a while. But this really is that moment where we realize we are different, where we realize that we've been carrying a burden that might not have even been ours to carry. And we are going to put that burden down, or we are going to see it differently so that it instead becomes a source of great wealth for us. The meeting of the sun and Pluto in the sky at the end of the week is us taking the experience of the eclipse and evolving it and understanding it and integrating it, so that not only do we understand the emotions and the occurrences of the early part of the week, but rather we're able to take what happens and in some way become better, become more aware, and become wealthier versions of ourselves. And when I say wealthier, I don't necessarily mean material wealth. That could be part of it, and that's great. If that's the case, awesome. But wealth is not just experienced in terms of the numbers that show up in your bank account. A lot of that is actually an illusion. And what I mean by that is, again, another one of my spiritual mentors, I remember he taught me And I share this in stories sometimes, especially with the superstars. But I remember him telling me anything over a toonie is just a concept. He was an incredible soul. He's no longer with us. His name was Tom John. And many years ago, some 20 years ago, I remember him telling me this. Anything over a toonie is just a concept. And so he explained to me that in Canada, we have a $2 coin, and that's called a toonie. And that is a physical thing, right? Like we can hold it, and the materials it's made out of probably, I don't know if that's still the case, but probably are worth about $2, and that's real, okay? But when we look at our bank accounts, we'll see numbers there, and the truth is that that may or may not be connected to reality. At the end of the day, we're doing what we do. We put out our effort, we put out our energy. The universe responds to that. The numbers in our bank account may go through changes. They may go through fluctuations. They may go through a sense of growth and a sense of stagnation, or even going the other way. But at the end of the day, what really matters is, how did you get to live, right? Did you get to have the life you wanted for the most part? Did you live in a way that allowed you to feel good about yourself? Did you get to have experiences that matter to you? Did you get to have friendships that matter to you and to know other people? Did you develop a rich spiritual life as well? Did you forgive where you needed to so that you truly could be free and know a new freedom, an authentic freedom in this moment? And so these are some of the principles that he used to emphasize for me. And I remember at the time I was a very young person, and I would come to him from time to time, and he was the guy that I would go to when I was trying to understand issues around money or family. Those were the two areas where I knew that he would have some spiritual advice for me that could help me. And so whenever something along those lines was happening, something would be happening with my family, and I was a young person experiencing a lot of emotion and hormones, and I would call him and he would ground me. He would help me to understand my own reactions. And when something was happening, like, oh my God, I want to do this, I don't have the money, I gotta go to university, but they want me to pay this deposit and I don't have it and stuff, he was the one that I could call and say, this is what's going on. And then he would say, okay, let's look at this from a different perspective. And it would ultimately be to look at it from a spiritual perspective. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, and I'm realizing it right now as I'm speaking to you about it. His spirit is so strong, it continues to shape me. And I'm really grateful that I had a chance to mention him and talk about him with you today, because he really did change my life in so many ways. But I realize now that what he did was a practice in alchemy. That was an alchemical process that he invited me to participate in. By changing my perception, by understanding that it's not about the stress and getting caught up in the illusion of what we need to do or the bills we got to pay, but it's about stepping away from it and realizing where it is that we actually experience great abundance, and we just need to change our perception around that, because whatever's going to happen with the bills is going to happen anyways, right? If there's a bill due tomorrow, it is what it is. But there is something very powerful that happens when we're willing to change our perspective, and there is an awareness of abundance that happens when we're willing to recognize all the ways in which our lives are truly abundant. And in this way, he taught me slowly, over a period of years, one conversation at a time, one latte at a time, he taught me that it is those things that we can consider so difficult about the human experience, such a challenge, those things that we get so wrapped up in, that actually, if we allow ourselves to do the work, if we allow ourselves to integrate the lessons, can actually become the source of great wealth and gold, truly become great gold in our life. And I feel like this meeting of Pluto and the sun in the sky is going to help us to do just that. It's going to help us to take what otherwise can be some very strong emotions and stirrings taking place within us in the early part of the week, and instead use it towards a connection to where it is that we have value and what value we can bring to this given moment. Now, as we start the week, we are going to be in a period between eclipses. The next eclipse is going to take place on the 21st of July. I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. But the ancients used to say that the veils between the worlds are especially thin in that period between eclipses. And so it becomes that much easier to recognize the spiritual lesson that is playing out. It becomes that much easier not necessarily to get caught up in the illusion, to get caught up in the external circumstances, and instead to recognize where it is and how it is that whatever is happening in our life is part of moving us towards greater love and greater wisdom. And that ultimately is the higher intention, the higher spiritual intention of everything and anything that transpires in our life. It is an invitation to move in that direction and to choose to become more wise and loving in the process. Now, if all of this wasn't enough, finally, we have in the first part of the week, Venus changing signs. Venus will move into fire sign Sagittarius. Now, this is important for a few reasons. One is, for months now, since September, Venus has been moving in and out of the sign of Scorpio. This is a part of the sky where Venus is not necessarily at her best, not necessarily at her strongest. And yet it was an energy that a lot of us had to address. Where is it that we needed to bring love in at least one area of life? It might have felt a little challenging to bring love, and yet that was the area we had to focus on again and again. Well, it is going to be with this change of Venus, as I said, in the early part of the week, right around Tuesday, give or take a day on either side, depending on where you are on the planet, as Venus changes signs, moves into fire sign Sagittarius. It really is going to feel like a brand new chapter, especially on a level of Venus. Now, all of us are going to experience this. If you are a Taurus or a Libra, this is going to be that much more important to you because Venus is your ruling planet. It is your representation in the sky. But again, all of us are going to feel as if we have finally stepped into new space, finally stepped into new territory. And the sense of newness is that much more magnified thanks to, late last week, Uranus changing directions as well. And so as we start this week, all planets are going direct for a full 2 months, and Venus changing signs in the early part of the week under the light of the eclipse, while we are in between a period of eclipses, is going to make this that much more meaningful. The further we get into the month, the 19th, 20, 21, 22, that is when Venus really starts getting close and meeting Jupiter in the sky. Jupiter, of course, right now in its home sign of Sagittarius, making it that much more powerful and bringing so much love and positive energy, and truly a magnification of Venusian energies around the world is going to take place. And of course, I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way, but I wanted to mention it now because the closer we get to that, the more and more this energy of Venus in this new part of the sky is going to be experienced and realized by us all in our own individual journeys, but also as part of the collective. So Venus in the sign of Sagittarius. The sign of Sagittarius is about a few things, but one is the other. Okay, so it is about that and those whom we call foreigners. And as I mentioned in the Jupiter special, over the course of this year, as Jupiter moves through its home sign of Sagittarius, this can bring with it a dissolving of barriers, and it brings with it a feeling of connection to people that maybe we hadn't been as connected to before. Well, with Venus in this part of the sky for the next few weeks, there's also love there as well, and we become more aware of how it is that love breaks down borders, breaks down barriers. I do think that there is going to be in some way a sense, especially on an aesthetic level, because Venus does rule our fashion sense as well. So we should notice that some fashion designers, perhaps something very influential, a style coming out that is very strongly associated with a particular culture. That becomes part of what people are talking about more. And there's a more of an appreciation of different types of beauties. And perhaps it is going to be that some more iconic images or people present themselves or get a lot of attention in the weeks ahead who represent this sense of the other and appreciating and recognizing the beauty in all kinds of people from around the world. Perhaps it's an increase in representation of a type of beauty that hasn't been as appreciated before, now gaining that recognition that we all appreciate. This can also bring with it a love of philosophy, a love of higher education. And so we should start to see more people talking about the benefits of institutes of higher learning. This can also bring with it a love for law, a love for politics, and a more strong female presence in those particular areas. It is this part of the sky that is also connected to just travel in general, and it is going to be Venus moving into this part of the sky that brings with it a love of travel, and we should notice more people feeling as if they want to tap into that more pleasurable energy by incorporating new types of trips, new types of explorations into their own lives. And again, collectively, there can be this sense of celebration around the connecting of different cultures and different countries around the world. What I love about this week for us, well, look, there's so much here. I do think it's really all about the eclipse, isn't it? This is a powerful eclipse. This is the true start of 2019. And it is going to be 2019, as I spoke of in the annual forecast. That's also on YouTube. We are going to start this year with an eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. We're going to end the year with an eclipse, a solar eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. It is this energy that is going to be very dominant throughout 2019 at several key moments. This is the first, and this is going to let us know that we truly have stepped into new territory, a new time, and yes, even a brand new year of 2019. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for it. What are you excited about this week? What do you love about this week? Please let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love reading you guys so much. I appreciate the love so much as well. I appreciate you sharing your lives, your ideas. I just think it is incredible, the community and the safe space that we have created here on YouTube for that matter. It truly has meant so much to me. And like I said, I appreciate all the sharing that you guys do. So do let me know in the comments below. If you want to know how all this wonderful stuff speaks to you and your sign, log on to nadiyashah.com, sign up to be one of my superstars. Superstars get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, including the 2019 special horoscopes, which are also on my website right now. All of this and more in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. I have a couple of big things coming up. So, online event coming up later this month is with Astrology Hub. I'm doing another event with them, looking at the year ahead, part of an incredible group of astrologers. It's going to be so much fun. They have a marathon coming up later on this month that I will be participating in. Links are below in the description below. And so I look forward to meeting you online there. Also, I have in-person events coming up that I'm really excited about, let me tell you. Yes, I have dyed my hair. You might have observed this. I have dyed my hair in preparation for Las Vegas. Las Vegas, it's going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it. The organizer contacted me yesterday and said there's been such a wonderful response. So many people have RSVP'd that they've actually changed the venue towards a larger venue than they normally have their regular events. And so please do be on the lookout for that if you've already signed up, if you've RSVP'd. If you haven't and you're anywhere near Las Vegas, I would love to meet you. I'd love to hug you. I hope that you do come out. It would be absolutely incredible. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about karma and love. It's going to be lively. It's going to be fast. It's going to be joyous. It's going to be interactive. So we are going to have an incredible time over the course of 2 hours talking about karma and love together. My other event, I will rush back to Mexico. On February 2nd, I will be part of a transformational week of astrology taking place at Xixim in Mexico, not too far from Cancun. You've heard me talk about this for quite a while now. I believe that the event has sold out. That's what I've been told, which I'm really excited about. So the event has sold out. There's a waiting list now. And so if you're interested, click on the link and get on the waiting list. But yes, the event is sold out. I will be a special guest on February 2nd, and I'll be talking about, teaching about, leading a meditation on the nodes of the moon. So it is going to be a powerful week. It's part of a larger week that is being led by world-renowned esoteric astrologer. Really is so brilliant, Maurice Fernandez. And there are other incredible astrologers joining us as well. So if you have your space secured, awesome. I look forward to meeting you there. If you want to come, well, get yourself on the waiting list. That would be incredible. I also want to share my friend Katie Weber, who I am a huge fan of. I absolutely love. I think that this is my third year sharing her with you, and I was thinking about it earlier, just how much her work has meant to me and how much I am looking forward to this coming year. Now, the Chinese New Year, the year of the pig, will actually start right around February 3rd or 4th, depending on where you are on the planet. So there's still plenty of time to get her success pack. I have been getting the success pack for years. It has helped me immeasurably. I've spoken about it before. I think that she is the real deal. She really knows her stuff, and the ways in which her work has helped me has been so numerous. And if you sign up for the Success Pack, you get to be a part of a secret Facebook group, and that group is off the hook. It is so much fun. People are sharing in that group every single day, sharing what's happening in their homes, sharing the things that they got, sharing changing energy, evolving energy, aligning with a higher energy. And so it really is so rewarding. That group has already begun in full swing for the coming year of the pig, and I've really been enjoying being a part of that as well. So to get more information, to learn more about Katie, to learn more about the Success Pack and how to make the most of this upcoming year of the pig that will start in about a month, you can click the link in the description below, and that'll take you right there. In case you were wondering, because I have a feeling that some people might be, my shirt says My Little Pony. When I was a little girl, I loved My Little Pony. I went to the store, finally went to the store after not going for a while. You all know I like to, keep changing it up and wear a different shirt every time. However, that hasn't happened. I've been recycling a little bit the last few weeks for various reasons. I didn't get a chance to go to the store, but I finally went. And when I walked into the store, I sort of had to walk through the children's section to get to the women's section. And as I walked into that children's section, I saw this shirt and I remembered wonderful things about my childhood. And I said, I have got to wear that shirt. And so that's why you're seeing me dress a little bit differently than I normally do, My Little Pony here. And I had to rip out the sleeves, I had to rip out the back. I probably will never be able to wear this t-shirt ever again in any context, but why not? It's a new year, new hair color. We are going to have a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to the incredible year coming up with you. I am so excited about it. I think that this eclipse is part of the very exciting energy as well. I am also coming up to 2 years on Superstar, and I want to thank you guys so much for making Superstar such a huge success. Creating the Superstar space with me, creating a safe space there on Superstar, enjoying those horoscopes. To anybody out there who's been there from day one, if this is going to be the first time you sign up, regardless of where you are within that spectrum, I thank you. Thank you so much for your trust and for sharing that brand new and incredible journey with me. But of course, you being here right now watching this video really is everything. Thank you so much for welcoming in a brand new 2019 with me, whether you've been watching me on YouTube for 10 years. I've been on YouTube for over 10 years now. So if you've been watching me from the beginning, thank you. You have my gratitude as we begin this new year together. If this is your first time watching me, welcome. Thank you so much for this moment with you. And I hope that in some way I continue to be a part of your journey. Continue to be a part of an affirmation out there in the world that whatever it is that is happening in your life now, and however it is that this eclipse works out for you, we are collectively and in our own journeys constantly moving towards greater love and greater wisdom. And I do believe it is my purpose in the world to affirm that. And I'm so grateful that because you are here, I get a chance to do that. And I thank you with all my heart. Thank you. Well, thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.